What is up, everyone? Travis here, and welcome back to another Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 tutorial episode here on SimFox. One of the main aspects of the game are, of course, the roller coasters, so it's definitely essential that you max out their potential. And in today's episode, I'm going to go into detail on how to do just that. First, let's go ahead and open the roller coaster menu. As you know, there are a lot of different roller coaster types. The ones that tend to have the lowest excitement rating are the family style ones, including the looping roller coaster and even the corkscrew. The B&M roller coasters like the Hyper Twister, the floorless, the stand-up, all of those, even the vertical drop and flying coaster as well. Those ones tend to have the highest excitement rating. For today's episode, I actually went ahead and pre-built a roller coaster. I felt like it would take too much time to build it on camera, and I decided to go with a corkscrew roller coaster. The first thing that has an impact on the excitement rating is the layout itself. Let's run a test, and as we go through, I will point out all the elements that contribute to the ratings. You want to make sure you add a variety of elements to the layout, so right out of the station I have a small little airtime hill. It's always more interesting to have something between the station and the lift hill other than just going directly into the chain. For an aero corkscrew roller coaster like this, it is essential that you have inversions. So after we come off of the lift hill, we go into a steep drop that curves to the left, and then right into a vertical loop, followed by a couple of bank turns, and into a batwing. One thing that people tend to forget about for some reason is that you can go diagonal. So in order to vary the elements and to keep things interesting, make sure you go into the diagonal axis at least once or twice. Also make sure that the track goes in and around itself, especially if you have a loop. It increases the ratings a lot to have the track go back through the loop, and then interlocking corkscrews are a really good element also. It looks like our initial excitement rating came back as 7.22, which is good. Rule of thumb, anything over 7 is acceptable, but anything close to 10 or higher is considered pretty much perfect. We're going to try to get ours into the mid-8 range. The second way to increase the excitement rating is to place rides nearby. There does seem to be a little bit of a science behind this, but if the guests get to interact with your roller coaster from another ride, the game makes that ride more exciting. In this case, we're going to use a top spin and put it over this small curve between the two interlocking corkscrews. And we're actually going to kind of kill two birds with one stone with this because it's going to create an underground element as well as place a ride nearby. To keep the lateral G's from going too high or too low, make sure you bank the majority of the turns, especially the ones where the roller coaster is going particularly fast. And to keep the vertical G's within range, make sure that your airtime hills aren't too small, and that the transition between elements are as smooth as possible. Let's go ahead and place the top spin, and I'm gonna actually have the path for the entrance and exit of this ride interact with our roller coaster also. With the nearby rides tip, and pretty much all of the tips and tricks that I give you in this video, it takes a lot for you to completely max out each category, so if you're not satisfied with the ratings, just keep adding stuff. And it looks like our excitement rating went up about 0.15 from 7.22 to 7.37, which is great. The third thing you want to think about, which we've actually kind of touched on already, is making sure that the roller coaster goes underground. Now the game doesn't know the difference between it being underground for 2 minutes or for 2 seconds. The way that it measures this is the number of times it goes inside and then comes back out. So that being said, a way to kind of cheat this a little bit is to just bring up a single tile and have the roller coaster go through it, which is what we're going to do in this case since we're just demonstrating. Realistically speaking, you would want it to contour with the terrain more and go in and out of the ground in a more natural way. And it brought us up from 7.37 to 7.58, which is a 0.21 jump. That's awesome. So, as you can see, going underground is a pretty effective way of increasing the rating. The next tip has to do with water. Of course, rides can't go underwater, but in this game, a ride is considered a lot more exciting if it goes out over water or near water. I'm not sure exactly how close it has to go to the water, but similar to going underground, it's measured by the number of times the ride goes near or over a lake or river. And those two small bodies of water brought us up a little bit from 2.59 to 2.61. Again, the more the roller coaster interacts with the water, the better the results will be. But as you can see, the nearby water does affect the excitement rating. And moving right along to the next category, paths. You want the entrance and exit paths to interact with the layout of the ride. And so for our corkscrew roller coaster here, I'm actually going to have the entrance go through this batwing element to increase the overall thrill. And then I'll have the main path come in so that I can connect the queue and the exit to the main path. And then I also have the queue and exit path go through a small tunnel to make the line part of the ride experience. And it looks like that brought us from 7.51 to a mind-boggling 7.75. It just goes to show how easy it is to increase the rating sometimes. And then in my opinion, the most important part, scenery. I had originally recorded the process of doing some of the scenery, but unfortunately those files got corrupted. So there's going to be a pretty significant change the next time you see our project. And here it is, all decked out. And that brought us up from 7.75 to 7.99. The good thing is I've already done a tutorial on scenery, so for the most part I followed everything I went over in that tutorial for this project. I'm gonna go ahead and place a few more scenery items, but finally, last but certainly not least, we're gonna place a bunch of trees. The reason I decided to do this separate from the regular scenery category is because in my experience, the trees independently have an impact on the ratings. So because of that, you wanna place a variety of them and you wanna place a lot of them. That ended up bringing us up from 7.99 to 8.19, so now we've managed to increase the excitement rating by almost an entire point. If you were to max out all of these categories, you could probably bring it up like 5 or 6 points even, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I actually am satisfied with the results. There are a couple of other smaller things you can do to increase the excitement rating. One of them is selecting for the ride to play music. Now what I've noticed is sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure what the criteria is for it, but it's worth a shot. And then the other thing is to do synchronized stations where you do like a racer roller coaster. That could actually have a pretty significant impact as well. But with all of that said, let's ride.